Hello, Kinaway members, and good morning on this wonderful Monday morning. Thank you for joining us for yet another one of our deadly and amazing webinars. And welcome to Indigenous Business Month, everybody. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I'm coming to you all from, and acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which each and every one of us are tuning in from, and pay respects to elders past, present, and emerging. So quickly, before we get this show on the road, I'd like to remind you all to keep a close eye on our socials and on your inboxes this month, because we have loads of webinars coming up for you and a bunch of exciting things happening here at Kinaway for Indigenous Business Month. Kinaway is still offering the usual forms of support for our members. So if you feel the need for any assistance or support of any kind, please reach out and get in contact with the team here at Kinaway. And also, side note, feel free to share our posts and profiles with your friends and family, because we're looking to grow our community even more than we already have. So now I have all of that out of the way. Let's give a warm welcome to our Black and Deadly leader, Scott McCartney, CEO of Kinaway. Woo!
Hey, Katani, how you going?
Good. Welcome to my webinar. I'm essentially going to pass the mic to you, Scott, and let you just talk to our members. I know they're all really excited to hear from you and get your welcome into Indigenous Business Month.
Cool, thanks, Katani. And look, I'd like to acknowledge the lands that I'm on today. I'm on Noongar country in Western Australia for the time being. I was on holidays, so heading back to Melbourne at the end of the week. But I'd like to acknowledge the elders past, present, emerging. I think they've been very welcoming of me being here in WA over the last few weeks, and I'm very fortunate to be here. Also, I'd like to acknowledge other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander brothers and sisters today and pay respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. And as a proud Wallajabolic man, I'd also like to acknowledge my elders past, present, and emerging, who today I sit on their shoulders and share some of my experiences with. And finally, I'd also like to acknowledge all our non-Aboriginal allies here today. Without the amazing work you guys do with us, we wouldn't be able to continue the work that we do that's having a massive impact on our mob. Look, what I wanted to talk to today, obviously today is this month is Indigenous Business Month. For the second year in a row, it's been heavily affected by COVID, which is obviously the new norm. And it's been really challenging for a lot of people out there, and seeing what's happening in Victoria over the last sort of 18 months is something that I never thought I would have seen in my lifetime, and it sort of makes me reflect back. And most people know my story that I worked in private enterprise for about 17 years, and it's funny when I go and I talk to corporates about Aboriginal businesses, I reflect on some of my experiences and go, geez, I worked in private enterprise for 17 years and 10 years of those as an executive, and I always assumed Aboriginal businesses were going okay. I just didn't think anything otherwise. In reality, before COVID, I don't think we weren't doing that great, to be honest. We're heavily reliant on things like Indigenous procurement policies, which can change very quickly. So it's about how do we expect sometimes the non-Aboriginal people out there understand the struggles that we have as Aboriginal businesses, especially when I say struggles, I don't mean struggles in we're not running good businesses. It's about the struggles about scaling up and trying to be price competitive with non-Aboriginal businesses that maybe have a lot more resources. So thinking back to Indigenous Business Month, I wanted to use it today to really talk about where we've come from, where we can go, some of the challenges, and some of the things that we need to do a little bit differently. When I say need, I mean Australia. I'm not talking about our mob. I think we're doing a deadly job. When I look at COVID, as I said before, and some of the issues and circumstances that have come up in front of us, we've got a really resilient mob. Really, really proud of the achievements of all our Aboriginal businesses, big or small. I think back to when I started in December 2019, we had 120 certified businesses here in Victoria, 120 Kinaway members, and today we have 390. That is amazing growth. Now, that's not because they're all just new businesses. They're all businesses now that have chosen to become Kinaway certified, to take advantage of some of the offerings that we have, but also to be connected with other Aboriginal businesses. We just did a recent survey of all our members, and for the third time, we've done 3 surveys in my time in the last 20 months. And the the theme that comes out of it is how connected people like to be, and even just looking at some of the responses about what they're looking forward to, and they're looking forward to things like being reconnected, networking, being able to work together. I was very, very lucky. Kinaway was very, very lucky that we're involved in a really innovative program with Melbourne University and PIC Consulting around procurement, a program called Mirroring 50. And it had some real big challenges because we had a lot of Aboriginals who had, I think it was 7, 8 Aboriginal businesses coming in to work with other corporates in the middle of COVID, when there wasn't a lot of opportunities out there. But what I did see was some great collaborations with other Aboriginal businesses, for other businesses that were in that cohort, which was really amazing. It just shows you the resilience and the strength of Aboriginal businesses. I guess the one thing that I've taken out of the last 20 months in particular is, whilst I think COVID was good for some businesses, and it did create some really good opportunities from some Aboriginal businesses, and that was mainly because really around government changed their procurement practices to be able to engage Aboriginal businesses, because it was more about getting access to products and services, really quickly. And everyone talks about pivoting and and being agile and so forth. And I think a lot of government and corporates did that really well through COVID, and so it's an opportunity to engage more Aboriginal businesses. But I guess what we're going to be careful of is that it doesn't create a false economy, that we think that's going to be business as usual. And we're already seeing now with some of the practices with government and corporates going back to normal. Whereas previously through COVID, as I said, well, it was about how we need 50,000 masks, we need 100,000 masks, we need 600,000 masks, we need it now. And they're able to procure those really, really easily. It seems now, going back to what normal COVID or pre-COVID practices, some of our businesses are finding a little bit difficult. And especially with government, you need to be, and just for our members that are out there, to procure with government, you generally have to be on a panel. They might have some discretionary spend where you're not required to be on a panel, but really need to find ways to look at how we get more of our businesses on panels with the government, so then they can actually get those opportunities to supply. Look, the Indigenous business sector, there's a few reports that have been released recently, most recently with a Parliament committee talking about the impact of Indigenous businesses in procurement, but also identifying some of the really clear issues and that magic work, black cladding, Aboriginal businesses that have a majority Aboriginal ownership, but maybe aren't managed or operated by an Aboriginal person. And it's something that, well, I know for a fact that there's more focus on it. Through COVID, like I said, we've now got our 392 members, but we had over 100 businesses that we declined membership at Kinaway because they didn't meet our criteria. And one of those criteria is also around about being a genuine Aboriginal business being managed and operated by an Aboriginal person. And the report that came out from the Parliament committee end of August, I think it was, really talked about some of the black cladding that's happening out there, some of the businesses that maybe not an Aboriginal business. And I can think of one example that we declined a membership back in, I'm going to say November 2020, because when asked the question, and they talked about, the business talked about how many millions of dollars of contracts they fulfilled under the Indigenous procurement policy, but they actually didn't have one person working for their company, not one single person. They had 3 Indigenous employees, I think it was at the time, working for the non-Aboriginal partner. But fundamentally, that business, the Aboriginal joint venture, would get the contract and subcontract it out to a non-Aboriginal business. And when I think about what the Indigenous procurement policies are about, it was about providing employment opportunities for people, not making sure one of our mobs is making millions of dollars on the side by just having his name on something. So, Kinaway is further committed to ensuring that these business opportunities do actually go to legitimate Aboriginal businesses, and it's something that I'm really passionate about as an Aboriginal person, to make sure that the impact is measured. I think that's the thing that we haven't been able to ascertain or articulate, is what the impact actually really looks like. I read something that NIAA released, I think it was only last week, just talking about how many millions of dollars, actually $1 billion, $1 billion spent with Aboriginal businesses in the last 12 months. But what I would like to see is the breakdown of who those businesses are and what the actual economic impact they've had in their community, how many Aboriginal people they've employed. There were some calculations done by PwC and PIC, I think about 2012. That an Aboriginal, two things. One, an Aboriginal business was 100 times more likely to employ an Aboriginal person. But there was an economic return of every dollar spent with an Aboriginal business. There was an economic return of $4.17. Now, I would love to be able to test that formula with all these businesses out there. They've got these $1 billion worth of contracts with Aboriginal businesses because, I'm, as a proud Aboriginal man, I'm very, very, obvious to the point of the closing the gap isn't happening fast enough. Now we're celebrating all this money we're spending with Aboriginal businesses. What's the impact it's happening with Indigenous communities? I can't see a lot at the moment. So I think it's great to go and talk about what contract values that people are getting, but let's measure the impact. I think that's the most important thing. What's something's really exciting that's happened in Kinaway in the last few months, and it's something we've been working on since I started and took over from the previous CEO, was having a state government partnership. Obviously we got partnerships with corporates, but over the last 12 to 18 months, we've been able to negotiate a partnership with state government where we actually help them with their procurement as well, where we have someone employed full-time now that works with all the government departments to identify those opportunities for Aboriginal businesses, and then share those with the community. I think this is going to have a big impact. The government's done quite well the last few years, state government, in terms of increasing their Indigenous spend. But it's, how can we take it to the next level? So by having someone employed specifically who will work with all the government departments, work with their teams, do a bit of training with them, opportunity analysis is going to provide some great opportunity for our businesses moving forward. And this goes on the back of the amazing work our team's already been doing with our corporates. We have nearly 50 corporate partners now at Kinaway. And I have a team of 5 people in that department, corporate partnerships, that works with those corporates to identify those opportunities at an early stage. And we've had some really great success stories, especially in infrastructure projects. Businesses getting multi-million-dollar contracts that weren't there previously, that are now employing dozens of more people. We have one business in particular that I met with in January 2020, couldn't get a government contract, and today they employ over 200 people. Like, that's a success. That's a massive success to look at, by identifying those opportunities, Kinaway being helped manage that relationship, and working with the corporates and government to ensure these guys get visibility of all the opportunities, is employing 200 people. That is massive. That's one of the biggest things. It's one of the most proudest things I've ever done with Kinaway, seeing the impact that has had by just not doing anything too different, but just changing the way that we provide the visibility of opportunities, I think. And I guess it sort of brings me to the next point. Kinaway's grown a fair bit over the last 18 months. When I talk about how many members we got, 120 now to 290, I think it was, Jadara told me this morning. When I first started, we had 3 staff, and now we have nearly 20. So, that's amazing growth within the back of, the work that my amazing board's been doing for a long, long time, to have a really great relationship with government, for government to enable us to be able to provide more support services for our members. But it comes on the back of data, and as I said, in the last 18 months, we've done 3 surveys of our businesses, and that data has provided so much opportunity for growth for us, but also support for our businesses. If some of our members that are watching now remember the first People Business Support Fund, where we were able to provide $10,000 to Kinaway members that hadn't received previous government support. That was about $1.7 million we provided to our members, and that was on the back of a survey that we did to our members to show government that not all our members fit the box that government said that a business was, which was GST registered, turning over $75,000. Sometimes they can be a little bit different. So we're able to articulate that, and I can't say too much right now, but I know there is something else coming as well to help businesses get through the next little part of COVID as well. So something very similar along the lines of the first People's Business Support Fund, but something specifically for Kinaway certified businesses. which is really exciting. But again, it's on the back of the data of our members. So how many members we've got, how many employees they have, what their turnover is. So I know sometimes you might think that we're asking for a lot of information, but you providing that information, our members providing that information to us, gives us that data to go and provide real-time information to our governments to then make really agile decisions on the go. So, okay, we need to plug a hole here. So I want to thank all our members for participating in that. And there's going to be more. Look, it's one of those things that we do need to keep checking with data with our members to ensure that our data is accurate to what our database looks like. So therefore we can go and advocate on our members' behalf. And obviously we got the roadmap to what a COVID normal will look like, which is pretty exciting. I know my kids are pretty excited about getting back to school on October 26th, as long as the vaccination rates keep going the way they're going. But it just means we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, at Kinaway, most members, geez, if you remember, you don't know who Brendan is in our office. 1-800 Kinaway is our mental health and wellbeing clinician in the office, and I know he talks to a lot of our members. And he was talking to us last week about obviously we've got an end date. And it's not really an end date. I guess it's October 26th, the day where things are going to be a little bit more normal, and then reaching out to sort of mid-November for things to be opening up normally. It gives us a light at the end of the tunnel, but also it can create some sort of anxiety around what that looks like and is it going to come quick enough. So I guess what I say to my members is, look, keep a look out for that light at the end of the tunnel. But just make sure you got everything in order when you get there, because what you don't want to do is go too hard too early when you open back up, whatever that opening back up looks like. It's about doing it again in a scalable manner, and just to be mindful of, obviously, with employees, or if you're looking at expanding, what new employees might look like, your COVID safe plans. There's so many things we need to work on in the meantime to getting October 26th. And also the mid-November when we're hoping to get things fully opened up. But please reach out to any of the Kinaway team. Obviously, we've got Liz Little managing our economic development unit. She has the economic brokers, the employment brokers as well, so they can actually help you with scale up your business, but also if you're looking at employing people, how to go about it. We've got some pretty cool opportunities coming up where employing an Indigenous person, you might be eligible for up to a $20,000 grant. So it'd be really cool, to reach out to Liz's team and see if your business qualifies for that. And the thing that I'm looking forward to the most at the end of this month, and it's something that's been a long time coming, is the Kinaway Business Awards. What a great time to have it. Indigenous Business Month. NAIDOC Week's going to be this month as well. I think there's some, it's again, we look at the light at the end of the tunnel. There's been some amazing stories and case studies. We provide case studies to government and our corporates all the time about some of the businesses that have done really well through COVID. I think it's it's really about time now we can acknowledge some of these successes. I think too long we don't share our successes enough. We need to celebrate the successes of our businesses, of people doing really well. We've got some really great entrepreneurs amongst our membership, and some really great stories of having some amazing impact on the communities, whether it's being role models, but let alone employing people. Some of the figures I've been seeing come through now about people, our businesses employing people or having the aspirations to employ people is really inspiring. I don't know, it's the sort of thing that's the thing that gets my team going, celebrating successes of our businesses. So I didn't want to take up too much time. I just really wanted to check in, just talk about some of the amazing things that we've got going on. What a really exciting time it is for Aboriginal businesses, let alone it just being Indigenous Business Month. Indigenous Business Month is just a label, but it's an opportunity for to celebrate our successes and to really look forward to the future, whatever aspirations your business may have. There's some really exciting stuff happening around the corner with our corporates, with our government, but also our businesses that don't operate in that procurement space. We've got some really exciting programs happening at the moment in the fashion space, some retail and wholesale opportunities coming up at the moment, some export opportunities. So what a really amazing time to be in business, let alone in Aboriginal business. So again, thank you for your time for tuning in. I look forward to speaking to everybody again, I think, when we do our Kinaway Awards. But at the same time, we're really looking forward to once we get to some normal, COVID normal happening, having some networking events, because, that's the thing I miss the most. I started in December 29. We had the bushfires, which took up a fair bit of time, working out what's happening down in Gippsland. I think COVID come, and then of the 20 staff that we have on board at the moment, there's only one that I was able to interview in person originally. Even Katani, actually, no, Katani, you actually were in person too.
Yes, I was. I was lucky enough. Yeah.
Yes. But everyone was a virtual, so that was the new normal. But look, enjoy the rest of your month. Remember, if you do need anything, just to reach out. Don't forget to check in with each other too. I know I talk to I tell my staff all the time about sort of make sure you check in with each other, because it's one of the. I know when I get a text message from someone asking if I'm okay, it's something that sort of lifts me up, and and pay it forward and go and ask somebody else. So have a great day, great rest of the month, and hopefully see you all soon.
Too deadly.
That was it.
Awesome, guys. Well, I think Sophia put it best, Scott. Only good things to come. So I hope you guys all enjoyed that from Scott. I know I did. I love learning from Scott. So it's just, super insightful and awesome. Also, keep an eye out on our socials, you guys, for more webinars that we have coming up this week. A lot of exciting stuff, and you'll see that across our socials and in your inboxes. We sent a newsletter out, and you guys can get some links there. And again, if you need any help, just reach out to us, and we can always send them to you directly and help you in any way that you need. But thank you. That draws today's webinar with Scott to a close. So thank you all for joining us today, and a special thanks to Scott for joining me and all of you, and welcoming us into Indigenous Business Month. So I hope you all enjoyed that. Again, if you want to catch up on any other webinars that we've done, feel free to jump on our Facebook or our YouTube, and you can find those there. And just wanted to remind you, just like Scott did earlier, if you need any support, we've got Brendan there at 1-800-Kinaway. And I highly encourage you guys to do that if you need, because he is excellent. But that's everything. So thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. See you, everybody. Bye.